Something cool happened this past weekend. If you are listening to this at the time of its initial release and the time that I'm recording it, you know that over the weekend, daylight savings came to an end. And I talk about this every year, at least I've tried to over the years, because I have found that this is a great time of year to start building some new habits. And I'm going to tell you why. Because so often it is habits around sleep and habits around our morning routine that end up making the biggest difference for us as we work to improve our health, right? We talk about sleep all the time. We talk about morning routine. And so many times when people want to have some control over their health, have some control over their fitness, they know that it is the early in the morning time, the start of the day, that's going to make the biggest difference, because it's the time where we can have the most control. It's a time where we can have some quiet time. It's a time where we can influence ourselves without the influence of others calling us, texting us, notifications on social media, emails, demands, meetings, work, Zoom, all these things, right? It's the morning when the best things happen when it comes to our health and our fitness. And that's why I love the end of daylight savings, because we have been used to this certain schedule, and then all of a sudden, one weekend, one night, we are going to get that extra hour from Saturday into Sunday. We all love that extra hour of sleep. I hope you used it for sleep and you didn't use it for partying or something else. We get that extra hour that one night, and then the best thing happens the next day. And this is released on a Tuesday, so I realize we're going back a couple days. But you know what happened on Sunday night? As evening approached, it got darker earlier than your body was expecting, earlier than you were expecting. And more than likely, even with that extra hour of sleep that you got, more than likely, you started to feel like it was bedtime before it was actually bedtime on the clock. And that has followed into the next evening, Monday, which was last night, right? If it's Tuesday when you're listening to this when it initially comes out. And if you're listening to this at some other time of year, sorry, you got to wait till the end of daylight savings again to pull this off, as long as daylight savings continues to be a thing. So you felt it Monday night as well. Last night, I'm starting to feel tired. I feel like I should go to bed, but perhaps you fought it because the clock said it's not quite bedtime yet. And so you stayed up later anyway. And more than likely, the last couple mornings, you also woke up a little bit earlier, just naturally, and perhaps you fought it, right? You stayed in bed, you looked at the clock, you said, I don't have to get up yet. Now, what's about to happen in the next couple days, you're going to notice that feeling of, I want to go to bed earlier, I want to get up earlier, it's going to start to fade away as you align yourself with what your clock is telling you should be doing, whether it be bedtime or time to get up. But if you want to seize some extra time in the morning, stick with your body rather than the clock. Go with what you're feeling. Go to bed a little bit earlier and get up a little bit earlier. Now is the best time of year, I think, to pull this off. And for me, I feel the pull constantly. The urge, I don't want to call it an urge, just the maybe it is an urge. The desire maybe to stay up a little bit later than I should for whatever reason, right? We've talked about that here on the show before. We stay up later than we should, doing things that really don't make a big difference in the scheme of things. And sometimes they're detracting from our efforts to become a healthier version of ourselves. We stay up later and we do those things. And then we go to bed and perhaps we don't get as much sleep as we should, or we sleep in thinking that we're just sleeping past what we think of as optional things. My workout, my quiet time to myself, my reading, my meditation time in the morning, whatever it is that you could be doing to be a healthier version of yourself. Perhaps you sleep past it because you stayed up a little bit too late. Now is the time to cut it out. Now's the time to make a shift. Go with the flow of your body in terms of the rhythm of when it's time to go to bed and when it's time to get up. You are tuned to a certain rhythm that way. Stick with it. See if you can. And perhaps go to bed earlier. Maybe it's 30 minutes. Maybe it's the full 60 minutes. And then get up. After you've had sufficient amount of sleep, get up a little bit earlier and do that thing. Build that habit. Get to work on becoming a better version of yourself first thing in the day. Morning routines are so important for us as people who are concerned with our health and wellness because we do have more control over that time. And maybe I'm talking too much about control, but I think that's what we all want. We all want to know that the decisions we're making and the actions we're taking are having an influence in the person we're becoming, a healthier version of ourselves. We want to know that we have a choice and we have some influence over the process. Now's the time to take some actions. You can do this. So I want to challenge you to do it and let me know how it's going. You can find me on social media at Nate Slager. Just tell me how this process has been going. Tell me what you're using that extra time in the morning for, because I know you're going to go to bed a little bit earlier because you know how valuable sleep is and you know how important that morning routine is to becoming a better version of yourself. Let me know what you're using that extra time for. Just send me a message on social media and tell me, hey, Nate, here's what I'm using the extra time for, and tell me how it's going. Can't wait to connect with you there. I'll talk with you again on Thursday for our longer form episode. We've got a really cool episode coming up for you, an interview with an expert. I will talk with you then. There are resources in the show notes for you. Before I go, please check those out if you have a minute and make sure that you're setting yourself up with all the support that you can possibly have in your journey to become the healthiest possible version of yourself.